Happy Spookies, everybody. I hope you're all doing well, having the most excellent day. And today I want to go ahead and talk about this movie that I actually got in a horror pack. It had to have been sometime earlier in the year, and I'll have to look through it and see if I can find which one it was. But today we're going to go ahead and talk about The Shed. Written and directed by Frank Sabatella, the movie stars J.J. Warren as Stan, Cody Castro as Dahmer, Sophia Hoppenin as Roxy, Frank Whaley as Bane, and Chris Petrovsky, sorry if I said the last name wrong, as Marble. There's a handful of other people in this movie, of course, but these are the main people we're going to focus on. So a quick synopsis, if you're not familiar. Also, if there's going to be any huge spoilers, I will definitely let you know ahead of time, and I will try to save that stuff towards the end. I'm also going to try to make this as quick as possible. So what we have here is a nice little story of a humble vampire who is just trying to survive, and these two douchebag kids are trying to kill it. But seriously, what we have here is one night a hunter encounters a vampire. I will note that the vampire is one of the coolest ones I've seen in a movie. And after he is bit, he realizes what's happening to him, and he's trying to make his way out of the forest without getting hit by the sun, and he comes across the nearest refuge he finds, and it's a shed. Now, this shed is actually owned by Stan and his grandpa, who I will say the grandpa is an absolute dick. Sort of the theme that we have here. All the people, except for Stan's best friend and a love interest later on, are essentially assholes to him. They treat him like shit. He's had a rough past. There's something going on with his parents. I believe they're passed away or some sort, because he lives with the grandpa now, who's like a veteran and a hard ass. And Stan and his friend Dahmer are often bullied a lot at school, to the point where it's just getting too much to handle for each one of them. And on this fateful day, Grandpa asks Stan to go ahead and mow the freaking lawn in a very nicely manner, of course. Fucking asshole. And when Stan heads out to the shed to grab some tools, he encounters the vampire. And eventually his friend Dahmer ends up being informed on what the situation is. But Stan wants to get rid of the vampire, and Dahmer kind of seems to have other intentions. What an awesome little movie. I want to go ahead and throw it out that the freaking music is so good in this movie. The original score, I believe, is produced by Bear McCreary. I could have said the last name wrong. And the song choices used in the movie are really excellent. Acting is solid all around, in my opinion. I mean, maybe some small supporting characters, like the main bully's friends, aren't the best, but aside, or like maybe like the other police dude or some shit like that. But aside from that, everybody in this movie, solid acting. This feels sort of fresh, even though it's not. We've seen something like this before. It has the vibe of sort of the remake of Fright Night, or just Fright Night in general, where you have this dude, he's in high school, he's got the best friend. The more I say it out loud now during this review, it really does have a hardcore Fright Night vibe. But nonetheless, it still felt very fresh. It seems a low-budget movie, though I'm not entirely sure. I didn't look that up. And of course, there's other locations, but the main location that we're at is at this house and the shed, which I just thought was very awesome. Now, towards the end of the movie, you're going to go ahead and, like, this movie, how do I explain it? This movie is going to be hit or miss for a lot of people, because it starts off very solid, and, I mean, for me, I enjoyed it all throughout. But towards the end, you're going to start questioning things like, why didn't the vampire just do this while they were in the shed? Or, just logic comes into play at certain points where you're like, okay, that doesn't really make sense. But this movie is fun. It's not perfect. There are things about it that I actually didn't like. For instance, there are dream sequences in the movie. Now, I don't mind the dream sequence, but it just felt like there was a lot of them in this one. It was just, I don't know. It was just a little odd. There's also a dream sequence with, now these are high school kids. There's a dream sequence in this where, like, the high school main dude and his love interest, who was also in high school, 17 years old, they do mention, just a sex scene. It's not nothing too revealing or anything, but it's just like, okay, I'm like 33 years old and I'm watching this sex scene, this soft-core sex scene. What the fuck with high schoolers? But it's not necessarily just the scene in itself or the dream sequence. I could do without the high school romance shit, to be honest. It'd be cool if they were all like three buddies or something like that. Now, this isn't necessarily a spoiler. There's a line in this movie that is straight out of Sleepaway Camp, I swear. And it's the bully and Stan are like Stan came to the rescue of his homie, and the bully's like talking shit to him. So the bully just goes, "Eat shit and die." And fucking, of course, Stan replies with, "Eat shit and live."
No problem, Gino. This guy blows dead dogs. Just lay it in there.
Eat shit and die, Ricky.
Eat shit and live, Bill.
Yeah, Bill, he's a little wet. Come on.
So I'm sure this is streaming. I'll look for links when I finish editing and stuff like that. I don't know if it's on a streaming service, like where, you know what I mean, like a monthly, where you have like a Netflix or fucking Shudder or something like that. So I think you'd have to like actually just rent it. But in my opinion, it's a solid rent. It's a solid movie, very fun. That's all I can really say with that. I don't want to. I actually was thinking if I wanted to do any spoilers, but I want to keep this short. To me, I feel like I've presented enough information to whether you're gonna check it out or not. I will say this one little spoiler, nothing too, I guess, yeah. So here's a spoiler. Just a small little funny scene. The movie's pretty funny too. Like it's got humor in it at the right places, not too overdone. Really enjoyed that. The characters feel very grounded, especially the two main dudes. The way they just hang out and they're just kind of shooting the shit throughout the day in this small little fucking town was cool. They're drinking OE, which is just, for me, as I used to drink that shit when I was younger too. At the beginning of the movie, it shows Stan, he is very good at aiming with a knife. Like he's got like a bullseye thing on his wall and he throws his knife and he freaking hits it, right? Bullseye, boom. So I was sitting there thinking, oh, this is gonna come into play later. He's gonna get the vampire. And there's a part near the end where there's a struggle between him and one other person and the vampire. So Stan grabs the knife and he does his little chuck. Of course, you're sitting there thinking, get that motherfucker in the heart. And he ends up hitting not the vampire, but the friend, the person they're with. And it's so funny. He doesn't kill that person. I think they get him in the shoulder. But it's so abrupt and you're just like, what the fuck? Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and shut up there. I said I was going to review Terrifier 2 and Barbarian. Maybe after this one, I'll go ahead and give some quick thoughts. But anything, don't hold me to that because it's just hard to do reviews sometimes. I barely have enough time as it is. Honestly, I have my baby sleeping out in the living room, but I have her on a monitor. So I'm keeping an eye on her. And as I said that, she just moved and I think she's waking up. So it looks like I'm going to have enough time for just this one review. With that being said, I hope you all have a most excellent day. Happy Spookies.